Okay, good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council for Monday, April 23rd, 2018. At this time, can we have the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Ryno.
Here.
And Mayor Vierra.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kline is absent.
Next, we will have the invocation by Loren Gregory of the Victory Assembly of God, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to meet together, Lord, and to deal with the people's business, Lord. Your word says if we ask for wisdom, you give freely to all who ask. So we ask for wisdom tonight, God, in deciding the people's business, Lord, that we would bless them and care for our fair city that we love. And now be with us and have your hand upon us in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening we have two presentations. The first presentation is the Tuolumne River Regional Park presentation.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nathan Houks, and is the presentation on or no? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. And I just wanted to come, not take up too much of your time, but I wanted to just kind of give you a quick update on the Tuolumne River Regional Park and the things that are happening there. And so. Okay. Good. Alrighty, so yeah, that's the first slide there. So the overall park, which I think probably most of you know a little bit about the park, but it's 7 river miles, and it's over 500 acres of parkland, and of course there's a JPA between Stanislaus County, the city of Modesto, and the city of Ceres. And then you can kind of see down in the picture below, we have quite a few parts of that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different projects, but this kind of gives you an overview of where the pieces of the puzzle that we're working on right now are at. So you can see down in the bottom left, there's Bellanita Park, Dennett Dam, which is kind of at the gateway parcel there, and then Mancini Park, which is on the Ceres side of the river, and then Legion Park, and some canopy trimming by the airport down on the right side of the screen there. So this is kind of just a quick idea, give you an idea of what the vision that we have for TRRP is. And TRRP, obviously Tuolumne River Regional Park, if I shorten that. So develop into a regional park that has destination facilities and activities so that we can attract people to the area, potentially to do outdoor recreational things in the park. One of the key things that we need to look at is revenue generating opportunities. So looking at, we're going to be looking at some facility fees and possibly increasing some of those fees or creating some new fees for different areas that we're developing. Looking at leases of certain areas. We do have one building that is leased in Mancini Park, actually. And then looking at sales taxes and hotel taxes, because obviously we bring people to town. Maybe they stay in a hotel, they do things there. Maybe they stay in Ceres and do things in the park. Maybe they spend money around here before they go out there or when they come back. So those are kind of the things that we're looking at, trying to generate some revenue. And then we want to develop and maintain TRRP in a fiscally sustainable manner. So one of the things that we have a lot of is volunteers that are helping us out in the park. Operation 9099 is one of the main groups that helps us. Monthly they go out and do cleanups throughout the park. But we also have the Tuolumne River Trust that coordinates some cleanups efforts and actually some educational efforts in the parks. And then we have the Hispanic youth leadership groups that come out twice a year, and they do some cleanups out at the park also. So quite a few volunteer groups that are helping us out, keeping the parks well maintained. And then we're looking at grants. So most of these projects that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about real quickly are grant funded for the majority of them. So the overall goal, which is the bottom line there, is basically to decrease the need for local agency funding. So that's kind of our overall goal, is try to decrease that need so that we don't have to ask the partners for as much money each year. So this is kind of an overview of basically, like I said, almost all of our projects are grant funded. We've received $6.7 million in new grant funds in the past few years, and we have another $500,000 out waiting to see if we're going to get them or not. So down at the bottom there, you can kind of see from 2009 until pretty much through 2022, these are kind of when the projects are going to be happening. These are the grant funds that we have kind of lined up for various different projects. So we've been fairly successful at getting grant funding for projects in the Tuolumne River Regional Park. The Gateway parcel is obviously kind of the hub of the Tuolumne River Regional Park, and it's close to downtown Modesto, close to the Dry Creek, where Dry Creek comes into the Tuolumne River. And currently, right now, you can see if you drive on Highway 99, heading towards Modesto, you see some construction happening down to the right next to the river. That's Gateway Phase 2. It's been going on, construction, for way too long. It should have been done a long time ago, but the river has not cooperated with us very well. So that's a $3 million project, but what it's doing is putting in some additional trails, doing the rest of the habitat restoration kind of down by the river there in the Gateway area. And then also there's an outdoor classroom that's going in down there. So some pretty exciting additions to the Gateway parcel with this project, and hopefully that's going to be finishing up here this summer. The river looks like it went back down this week, so we should be able to get back in there pretty soon and finish it up. And then the river overlook, which is over to the right side of that, is basically a trail that will be kind of elevated boardwalk, and will take people closer to the edge of the river so they can get right up next to the river. We have some grant funding of $850,000 for that, and so we're working on getting that designed and put out to bid in the next year or two. So that's a project coming soon, and the Gateway parcel. This is a project that a lot of people are excited about, removing the remnant of the Dennet Dam. And we've been working with the Tuolumne River Trust to find the funding and get this project out to bid, and hopefully do some demolition this summer. The project is fully funded. Tuolumne River Trust was very successful in finding funding from grants. It's also fully grant funded. And then we got some pretty good bids when we just rebid the project. The low bid was about $1 million compared to the $2.4 million we got last summer. So that's a great bid, and we're trying to schedule in between how the river's going to be this summer and try to get that dam out of the river. It's very important, obviously, to encourage any boating activities, and I know that that you guys have a project down at your river bluff that's going to hopefully put some boats in the water, and when they get down there, they have something that keeps them from being able to keep going. So hopefully this will get out of there and people can continue down the river and enjoy the river. But also for fish and the river habitat, it's pretty important because the salmon have a hard time going back upstream with that dam in the way. And then we also received a grant of, I think the grant is about $780,000 on this one, but the total project's $805,000, so we have some local match. from the Division of Boating and Waterways to do a boat launch takeout also down by Nice Drive next to the Dryden Golf Course. So that is also a potential place where people going into the river in Ceres could be pulling their boat out down there next to the golf course, depending on how long they want to be in the water, of course. So that's a project that'll be coming up here in a couple years. We're just starting design on that. And then the Stanislaus Youth Soccer League, they've had some volunteer construction over by Bellanita Park, which is closer to the Carpenter Road area. And we also received $1 million grant for that project to put in 3 more soccer fields. So there's going to be about 6 soccer fields down there and a parking lot that we'll be building with that project. So that's coming in a year or so, working on construction documents for this project also. And then we've been doing some tree trimming. We've completed phase 1 and 2 of the tree trimming next to the airport. This is necessary due to FAA regulations that we had to do some tree trimming. So we broke it up into 5 phases because we can't afford to do it all in 1 year. But we finished phase 1 and 2. We'll be working on phase 3 in the fall, and then moving on each year to the next phase. So we've got some pretty good progress, and the FAA is pretty happy with the progress we've made. So that's a good thing, because they were talking about putting some restrictions in the airport if they didn't see some action. So anyway, that's a good thing to get done. And then because of the tree trimmings and some of the trees had to be taken out, we have to do some tree plantings. So we're looking at a bunch of different places not adjacent to the airport to plant trees throughout the Tuolumne River Regional Park to make up for all the trees that we had to take out. So this is kind of just a overview of where those might get planted, and a little bit of habitat restoration, which the revegetation area over on the right, we just finished that up this winter, doing that habitat restoration. So, and I think lastly, just looking at future necessities, Mancini Park really needs a huge renovation. Bellanita Park needs a huge renovation. American Legion Hall needs a lot of repairs. Our parking lots in Tripp need a lot of resurfacings. So those are kind of like the more right up front needs that we have in the Tuolumne River Regional Park system. And some of the future potential projects that we're looking at are to do some outdoor education facilities down by Legion Park, continue the development of the Gateway parcel, obviously, and then extend the trail from the Gateway parcel over to the boat launch next to the golf course, and then extend the trail from the Gateway parcel over Dry Creek to the Legion Park area, which would go along the Gallo easement property there, and we need to get an easement or purchase some land from them. So those are kind of the little further down the road projects, but things that are on our mind to get moving in future years. So with that, I just wanted to thank you all for your support. I know in the past you've been very supportive, and so I just wanted to thank you for that, and thank you for giving me a few minutes to share with you what we're doing.
Okay.
I'd take any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to the presentation of Older Americans Month Proclamation. And just for the record, I wasn't the one that brought this up, so. Proclamation declaring, by the way, do we have someone here that's going to accept this? Okay. I didn't want to point anybody out, but Proclamation declaring May 2018 as Older Americans Month. Whereas the city of Ceres includes a thriving community of older Americans who deserve recognition for their contributions and sacrifices to ensure a better life for future generations. And whereas we acknowledge that what it means to age has changed, and what has changed is for the better. And whereas the older adults in Ceres play an important role by continuing to contribute experience, knowledge, wisdom, and accomplishments. And whereas our older adults are active community members involved in volunteering, mentorship, arts and culture, and civic engagement. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by emphasizing the importance of elders and their leadership by publicly recognizing their continued achievements, presenting opportunities for older Americans to share their wisdom, experience, and knowledge, and recognizing older adults as a valuable asset in strengthening American communities. Now, therefore, I, Chris Vierra, Mayor of the City of Ceres, do hereby proclaim May 2018 to be Older Americans Month and urge every citizen to take time this month to recognize older adults and the people who serve and support them as powerful and vital citizens who greatly contribute to the community. Proclaim this 23rd day of April 2018.
Hi, my name is Stacy Morales. I sit on the Commission on Aging as one of their members. I also am the CEO of Move, and we work every single day with seniors and people with disabilities for transportation. And I could sit here and tell you how many seniors in this county volunteer and make a huge difference. We had a dinner this last week of over 50 volunteers that are seniors, serving seniors and children throughout the county. And on May 15th at the Board of Supervisors meetings, they'll be honoring 5 senior citizens that have been serving the county, serving veterans, volunteering with other peers and things like that. So hopefully, if you can't attend the meeting, you can definitely watch it on TV. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll move to citizens' communication to council on matters not included on the agenda. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. At this time, I do have one speaker card, and I'll call that first. Is Kimberly, is it Ashton? Alston? Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Alston, and I live at 2312 Whitmore, Apartment A on the bottom. I moved there a year ago this month. Currently, there was a young lady living above me. I am a senior citizen, so don't let the smooth look fool you. I will be 60 in a couple of years. So October, I'll be 58 years old. And I've just been under the most horrendous harassment living at that residence. It's known as a drug area, not since I moved in. I've cleaned it up. I've painted at my own cost. And to let it be known that there is no drug activity going here, and I've been practically ran out. I'm at my wit's end. I want accommodations to, I forgot all the names because I was in a hurry to get here, all the officers who have responded to the false police calls that were made toward me, toward the kid that lives upstairs. He's been calling saying he hears me being raped. I was at the Sherry Shepherd and Eddie Griffin talent show, comedy show in Pleasanton. And my security camera revealed to me that the Ceres police was on my porch with their hands on their guns. And I called the police department in fear that my house maybe had gotten broken into. And they said no. I said, well, I'm at the comedy show. It cost me $80. Do I need to come home? And the officer laughed. He said, no, it's your neighbor Josh again. He's been calling since October 30th, my birthday, last year, and making false police calls. I'm angry. I'm a citizen, I'm a taxpayer. How dare he take advantage of Ceres Police Department in the way that he's done? He finally, Officer, I can't say his name, but Breyer, I have the slip, finally asked me did I want to make a citizen's arrest because he has totally taken advantage of our city police department with these false allegations that I'm listening to him through the walls, and I'm drilling holes, and I'm watching him. And at first I was real angry because I haven't slept in 5 months. They're on crystal meth. They're keeping, the more I clean up, the more they damage. The more I fix up, the more they damage. And I've been harassed. I haven't slept until the officer finally said, you can make a citizen's arrest. He allowed me to exercise that right, and I did, and it has continued. Someone has to be responsible for meth heads. The cop said there is no narcotics force. How can we get that going? What do we need to do to stop this meth and keeping people awake and harassing them and breaking them right now? I believe they sabotaged my truck. So my neighbor is over there right now fixing my truck. They have gone on my patio and broke everything. I've gotten surveillance cameras because they've accused me of things that I have not done. And I just want to be a voice for seniors, and I find it so appropriate that you receive that today, because I am a senior, and I am being harassed in the community. And it took this long for the police department to say, you know what, we believe you, lady. And they took him to jail, but it hasn't stopped. Every night, last night, they took all my solar lights that I try to keep the place lit up because it's so dark right there. I'm right here down this alley right here, and I try to keep it clean. And I get called the N-word, and they throw trash, and they say, yeah, pick it up, slave girl, you know, and I just want to make it, I like series. I like that it shuts down, you know. I know I've probably taken up my 5 minutes.
You still have a little more time.
So I just want you to have a little history about who I am. I'm from Stockton, California. My father brought us there after he retired. He was the first black firefighter integrated into the fire department when the Air Force became, they took the segregation off and they became integrated. And my dad was the only black man living amongst all the white firefighters. And he never had an issue, never had a problem. And he moved us to Stockton, and he put me in Catholic school. I had to fight the people in the projects because we were homeowners. And my parents always taught me, if you live in a cardboard box, you keep it clean, you maintain where it's at, you act like it's yours. And that's all I've ever done since I've been over here on this corner. And I want the city council to know that the police department has done all that they can do. But this thing is still continuing, and I don't know how to stop it. But seniors something has to be done about the meth traffic and the harassment that seniors are getting. And I'm sorry I don't look old, but I am. And it's hard at night. You go to bed early, you get up early, you know. And so I'm just here to let you all know that that this is happening in the city, that we have seniors that are being harassed, and they're coming back and they're breaking and throwing rocks, and they're damaging where I live at, and they're just calling me the N-word, and I feel sometimes hopeless. I don't want to pull the race card. I have never had to pull the race card. I get more discrimination from black people than anything because I talk white, because I was brought up to speak English correctly, because I didn't grow up in the projects. I grew up around the corner from the projects. So I had to fight because I wasn't impoverished. I grew up middle class. My father, he taught us things that the value of community and civil service. And he was a veteran, and my mom was a veteran. And my brother was the first black firefighter in Stockton, California. One of the dirty dozens, they call him, because he came through affirmative action. Little joke, but I'm proud of my family, and I'm proud of whatever city I live in. I want to make a contribution, and I'm just here to let you guys know if how you can help me, how something can be brought up. I don't know, but I just wanted to express to you what's going on. The landlords, who's responsible for the false police calls? His parents, the landlords, the cops said, the police said, hey, Gary, the owner, you have to get rid of this kid. And he says, he pays his rent. And I said, well, I pay my rent too. And they say, well, he pays more than you. So the cop said, you have to get rid of this kid. Now it's turned sexual, his harassment, saying that I'm being raped and constantly calling the police with this false allegation. And so Gary said, if you get me the incident reports and bring them to me and show that he's a nuisance, I'll evict him. Well, I did that and he didn't. So the cops are angry at my landlord because their hands feel tied. So they allowed me to make that citizen's arrest. And I've been getting some sleep, I can honestly say, but it's continuing. I'm still, and it's a nitpick kind of thing. And we have bigger issues to deal with than that. But it's the snowball of the crystal meth, and it's trickling down, and I'm tired. Sure. And I need you guys' help, and that's why I'm here to let you know that there are senior citizens that are really going through it with these meth people doing the most ridiculous things of harassment, and it makes you look crazy. It really made me look crazy for a long time. If it wasn't for Officer Jessica Graham and Officer Johnson, and I can't spell his name right, B-I-E-B-E-R,
Berber?
Something like that, yes. They looked and they saw the tears, and they looked in my eyes and they said, this lady's not lying. We have to help her. And so maybe we can get something. I don't know. I'm just here to let you know. And if I could participate in that senior thing, I will, because I want to get involved now so that you can know that I do live there. And I do want to make a difference in Ceres, because I do like this little city and how you guys have it set up. And so thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you. One question, do we have the LED lighting in that neighborhood as well?
No.
Well, she's on Whitmore, so, I mean, there's street lighting, but, I mean, in terms of being right in that particular area, we'd have to verify.
Okay. Any, Brent? Okay. 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 So anything you can do to work with her, you know, I wish we had more citizens like this that cared about the community, so thank you. At this time, is there anyone else that would like to address the council on a non-agenda item?
Leonard Shepherd, 2841 Fowler Road, Ceres. And looking around, I think I am the old guy. I don't know if anybody's over 74, almost 75. I was really sitting listening to that gentleman's presentation on the park, and I thought, there's been a lot of progress since I retired from it, and I was there for 13 years. But making that park what it could really be, somebody told me once it was like mating an elephant and waiting the 9 years or what, 2 years or whatever for it. It was a lot of frustration. Every time we had a project lined up, the money for it went somewhere else. But I can tell you, this lady is not the only one, and she said it. She's not. There's lots of people out there, seniors, who are afraid to go out at night. They're afraid of their neighbors, because their neighbors are nothing but a bunch of hoodlums, whether they're gangbangers, meth heads, whatever they are. And I wish we had a task force of undercover, was the guy on the TV? Anyway, that could go out there and we look the other way while they remove those slime balls from the community. You know, it looks good on TV, and I sure wish it. A lot of people say that I'm old-fashioned and I want to see it like the Old West. And you're right, because the Old West, anybody started stuff like that, some citizens would take the person out and show them the road to goodness, but there's nothing the politicians, and you guys aren't politicians. I don't care, you ran for office, but you're not politicians. The politicians are just out there lying in their pockets and putting money in it, And they don't care. And no, I am not a get rid of guns person. Everybody needs to have one. That way, when the bad guy comes up with a gun, 3 good people pull a trigger on him. That's my own personal view. But I think that our cops are handcuffed. They're the ones wearing the handcuffs, not the criminals, because the criminals have rights. The victims don't have any rights. The cops don't have any rights because they're just trying to do their job to keep the criminals from making people victims. And I appreciate Chief Smith and his department because they're doing everything they can. They're not out harassing people. The people that are being harassed are people like this lady. And I really think that, I think one day the good Lord's going to get ticked off and he's going to look down and say, okay, that's enough. And he may do a little wiping out a plague or something here. And we got too many people on this earth. It's the old theory of rats in a cage. The more rats you put in the cage, the worse things get. So, but that's just a pipe dream for me. And I really feel sorry for this lady, and I hope that the landlord does finally come to his senses and kick that slime ball out. And maybe she can get some sleep. And her house, her place she lives, will look good again. And God bless you, lady.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council on a non-agenda item?
Wasn't planning on to, but I think change starts with the youth, and just something I was thinking of is the NFL has a flag football league, or you can basically team up with the NFL for flag football. And I know there's some local people who run flag football, and we're in need of a really good field. If the city would have any field that they could, maybe let the league use, you could even partner with the NFL and be listed on there. The league could be listed on the NFL's website, and it'd be something for the youth. You could have a flag football league that right now it's for us older guys that just want to keep playing, but maybe you have something where you use it for the youth as well. Maybe you work with the people that are running the league for the youth. So just an idea. If you guys have any fields that you could kind of donate in spare time on Saturdays, so just.
Before we go, could we get your name for the record?
Yeah, Dustin Rocha.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll comment on that. We have a few fields, probably more, the school district has more fields, but it's something that, we can talk about.
Are you part of an organization right now that's running the flag football?
I'm not running it, but I know the gentleman who is running it. Been running it he's been in the league for a long time now. He's running it. He's doing it in Modesto, but it's off of Carver Road. So it's like, and there's a lot of people from series that play out there, high school and stuff, but I think the league could be a really good league, and, if it's something else for the youth to do besides wander around in the streets, or you can get, kids out there, that's, kids out of trouble.
I'm pretty familiar with it. Get a hold of me and we'll have some conversation.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no appointments to boards and commissions. Conflict of interest declaration. Is there anyone on the council that would like to declare conflict of interest on any of the 11 consent calendar items or one new business item? Okay, hearing none, we will move to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call vote. At this time, is there anyone on the council that would like a consent calendar item pulled for further discussion? Okay, anyone in the audience? All right, with that, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
Move to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, thank you. We have no unfinished business this evening, no public hearing. We have one new business item, legislative update on resolution. It would be resolution number 2018-039, support of Proposition 69. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mayor Vierra. Before we discuss Prop 69, I want to give a little update on SB 827. It was a housing bill that was being heard in the Transportation Committee that Senator Canella sits on last week, and it actually was heard after this report was published. And good news, our letter that's included in the staff report of opposition was included with a number of other cities across the state who were opposing this bill, which was a significant overreach from most folks in the local government field of the state, a bill that would strip us of basically all of our local control of the ability to approve housing bills, especially around transit or around an A station, for example. Fortunately, that bill was killed in the Transportation Committee, so it is dead, at least for this year. We will likely return again next year. The commentary is basically that the author of this bill will likely be bringing it back and maybe adjusting it, but the key that they're trying to do is to increase density around transit and those kind of things and get away from CEQA and other things that limit, or at least in some of these folks' minds, limit the ability of things to be limited in size. So it's one of those bills that we continue to watch, and we know it'll be back again next year. But again, our efforts as well as a lot of work on the league's behalf to get that bill stopped because it was definitely a bad bill. On to Proposition 69. So that is a constitutional amendment for the transportation taxes that were put in place last year. Not to get into there's two bills out there. This particular proposition will be primarily protecting those funds, assuming that it survives its current potential challenge. This protects those funds so that they're constitutionally allocated to transportation purposes. So staff as well as the league strongly supports this and is looking for resolutions so that it can be included in the pro side of arguments for Proposition 69. If we're going to have increased transportation taxes, we want to ensure that those monies go towards their intended purpose and they're not used for anything else. So there's two sides to this conversation. This is what we would see from a staff perspective, and again from the league. The easy side is, yes, if we're going to have taxes, and we all don't like taxes, but if we're going to have taxes for transportation, we want to constitutionally protect and ensure that they go towards their stated purpose. So that's what the resolution states, is our support of that activity, and look for any direction or thoughts you have on that matter.
Okay, is there any questions? Right, at this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to council for direction.
All right, let's move on item 12, resolution number 2018-039. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette.
Yes.
Councilmember Lane.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
Yes.
And Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 401.
Okay, thank you. Discussion items, we have none. Councilmember referrals, is there anyone on the council that would like to have an item placed on a future agenda?
Mayor, I would. I know some of you have had conversation. I haven't had the conversation with Toby, but it's came to my attention about sanctuary cities. Been asked where we stand on it, and I've been told, I've told folks that we haven't had that discussion. And I think it's something that we probably should have openly discussed. And, personally, I have my own opinions, but I'll save those for for another time, if still desired by the council, that we maybe open this up for an item on our agenda for discussion.
Okay. Mr. Wells, how, is this something you can put on a future?
We can. The next two meetings are pretty heavy as it stands right now. So the May 14th meeting will be the 3 development agreements coming back for a public hearing, as well as our general plan. So that meeting, I would strongly suggest not putting it on there because that's going to be likely a long meeting as it stands. And then the May 29th meeting, the Tuesday after the holiday, will be the budget, basically the initiation of the budget. So if June's acceptable, that would be a much better time frame.
Yeah, I think, I know we're got a lot of things going on.
Those two particular meetings are especially heavy in May. So June or
Say the first meeting in June, or do you want to do the second?
first meeting
I
in June.
will be out of the country on June
11th.
the 11th.
Well, that'd be the first meeting, huh? So
The second meeting would be
Yeah, that would be fine.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll plan on
Okay.
that. Is that acceptable?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
The rest of
Anyone-
the council is
the rest of the
supportive of
council?
that?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Anyone, any other items? Okay, with that, reports, I have nothing to report. Councilmember Ryno?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilmember Lane?
Good to be back.
Nice to see you back.
It's good
It's
to
been
be
a
back.
while.
I kind of look
Hopefully
out
you
over
feel
there.
okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Durossette?
Nothing.
Okay, we will go, Tom? Mr. Wells?
Nothing this evening.
Tom?
Exciting milestone ahead. Next Monday night, April 30th, the Planning Commission will have a special meeting at this room, 6 o'clock, for the consideration of the adoption of the general plan and the certification of the EIR, as Toby mentioned. We'll be bringing that, hopefully, to the City Council at your meeting on May 14th. If certification and adoption is achieved, it'll conclude that 2.5-year planning process. So we are nearing the end.
Daryl?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Downtown 4th Street, we do have the letters painted on the north end. Would like each of you, if you're here at night or early in the morning, take a look at that and see how that shows up. See if that's a little clearer, brighter from the change that we made there. We've also added uplights to all the palm trees, so there'll be some lights illuminating the palm trees at night too. So I'd appreciate any input that you have on that as well.
Okay, thank you. Brent?
So a few months ago, you council approved the AB 109 money to be spent on Camp for Youth, if you remember, for the Family Justice Center. Just want to report to you that there's 20 kids ages 7 through 15 that are eligible to attend from series. And so I'll let you know and follow up on that later. Thanks.
Thank you. Rick? Okay. Bettina? Thing? Jeremy? Rich? Nothing. Supervisor DeMartini? Okay. I don't think I missed anyone else. So with that, we will move to closed session where we have conference with labor negotiator. And then after that, we will come out and we will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be Monday, May 14th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
He says this is going to last forever. He says this is going to last